British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is set to unveil his new government that will take Britain out of the European Union. Mr Johnson will reveal a new-look cabinet, filling posts that were left vacant by MPs who stood down before this election. The Prime Minister will also need to appoint a new governor for the Bank of England. Now, Mr Johnson is also going to address his new Conservative MPs in Westminster, and many of them won in areas that were traditionally held by Labour. Now, their first job is going to be to vote on Mr Johnson's Brexit bill, and that could be back in Parliament before Christmas. The new government's agenda will be outlined by the Queen when she formally opens Parliament on Thursday. Now, the programme is expected to focus heavily on social spending, especially on the state-funded National Health Service. Now, for more on the major changes that we might see perhaps in Britain's government, we're joined in the studios by Kara Owen. She's British High Commissioner to Singapore. Good evening. Welcome to the studios. Good to see you, Ms. Owen.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, so first off, what do these election results mean for Asia and particularly for Singapore?
So I think for Singapore, we're going to see quite a lot of continuity. I have a real privilege of being High Commissioner over one of the most dynamic and strong bilateral relationships that the UK has. In his letter, congratulatory letter, Prime Minister Lee wrote to Prime Minister Johnson that he looks forward to continuing the partnership for the future. This is when our two governments decided to focus on the areas of the economy that are really going to drive our growth in the future. So that means things like climate and sustainability, clean growth, technology, education and knowledge, and also resilience and defence. For the broader Asia region, I think this Prime Minister is very aware of the dynamism of this region. In fact, it was when he was Foreign Secretary that he decided for the first time ever to appoint a UK ambassador to ASEAN as an institution, which I think is a symbol of the intention and the strategic regard of this region.
Well, even before these elections, Ms. Owen, the UK has been searching for deals in Southeast Asia and to broaden its relationships in this part of the world. So do you think that this strong mandate that Mr Johnson has received from the UK voters is going to just sort of push that relationship further? Is it going to give him a stronger position?
So I've been really struck in his comments since the election, how much he's focused on redoubling our trading relationships. We're committed free traders, other countries in this region are committed free traders, and I think he'll be putting a lot of focus into our trading relationships.
And, you know, trade talks between the UK and the EU, they're ongoing, as we know. Michael Gove has spoken about this, Boris Johnson's spoken about this as well. They've said, at least, that they're hoping that these negotiations will be complete by 2020. What do you think about that window?
So I think the Prime Minister has been very clear that delivering Brexit is the priority of his government. It's the mandate, the manifesto that he went to the people on, and that was the platform on which he was elected. So he's very focused on getting Brexit done, and that means, first of all, getting the withdrawal bill through Parliament. As you said, it's likely to come to Parliament before Christmas, but then looking at the new relationship that we're going to be having with our closest neighbour, and he and the government are really committed.
Post, Brexit, what kind of trading relationship do you anticipate seeing between the UK and Singapore, these two countries that have really had a very long relationship on trade and in other areas as well?
So we've already got a really strong trading relationship, some £13 billion worth of trade flows. The UK is the 5th destination globally for Singapore investment, and Singapore is the 5th biggest export market for the UK in the Asia-Pacific region. So the fundamentals are really strong. But we are focused on new areas of the economy and what we can do there together to bring mutual benefit. So things like medtech, things like fintech, cyber, all of these future areas where both of our economies, which are very knowledge-based economies, are going to be focusing. We've agreed 24 agreements in the last year alone to enhance our collaboration within those areas, and I would expect that to bring additional benefit to us.
So Mr Johnson's going to have a very long list of things to do. He certainly does, and of course meeting with the new MPs just being one of them. But other than Brexit, what do you think the big issues are he's going to be focusing on?
So the Prime Minister has spoken with real passion about transforming the economy through investment in public services and in infrastructure. He calls public services the bedrock of a dynamic economy. I would expect him to put a lot of attention and priority onto that. And also partnerships. He's spoken about how he intends to build really strong partnerships in tackling some of the biggest challenges of our age, for example, climate change, where we will be hosting the COP talks at the end of next year.
Yes. Ms. Owen, thank you very much for coming into the studios and sharing your perspectives with us on what we might perhaps be seeing as we look forward to a new UK government, you know, with, well, we don't know exactly when the new cabinet's going to be announced, but details I'm sure will be coming soon. Thank you very much for coming in. And that was Ms. Kara Owen, the British High Commissioner to Singapore.